Good morning, everybody. Just thought I'd pop in and show you what I'm working on today. I'm running a little bit behind schedule today. The Divine Miss N, my 11-year-old, is very sick with croup and high temperatures and whatnot. So I've been up since about 3 o'clock when the Nurofen wore off and she's had shivers and all sorts of stuff. So I'm trying to get through the day and I'm slowly getting there. So today I am working on a new pattern. So I'm not sure if you can see that too clearly there, but it's like a little cross, like plus signs overlapping one another. I'll just grab my glasses, bear with me for a sec, but I'm working on this hexagon quilt that belongs to the shop where I teach once a fortnight, where I teach my classes. So she chose this one. I possibly wouldn't have chose this one. I wouldn't have thought to do this one, but I threw it in there with the other designs for her to choose from. I'll just move it over onto the lighter fabric so you can sort of see it. And that's what it's going to look like when I stitch it out. So basically with this is a Qbot design that I'm using, by the way. So basically what happens is with a new design, I set the machine up. I download the pattern. I set it into the Qbot. So this is the Qbot. It has a little SD card slot on the side, and that's where my files are. The files are very small. So I've got probably close to 100, maybe more designs on there, and I get new ones all the time because not everything suits everybody. So that's where I use my Qbot. And basically what happens is when I get a new design, I load that into the Qbot on the SD card, and then what I do is set the machine up to start quilting, and I get a Sharpie, and this is like you know your books that you get that are bound, that have like the spiral binding and whatnot. This is the covers that they put on them, and I tape them together. I don't know if you can see the tape, but you can definitely hear it. I just use sellotape and basically hold the sheets together and create my film for it. So this one's quite a large one, as you can see. Now, you can see there that there's, I'll get a bit closer, there's a red and a brown marking. Up here, I can show you that this is where the 100% mark starts. So all the brown is where that's going to stitch out. Okay, but I'm doing it at 80% today because this pattern's quite large and it's too big for my machine. So this one would have been for a larger throat space. So maybe the 22, I think it is the next one up in this one, in the in the Handy Quilter, sorry. And I think it's called Fusion. I'm not 100% sure, but yeah. So I'm doing it from this red mark here. So you can see it goes along the same pattern, but it's a little bit smaller. And so it finishes and it overlaps in different places, so it gets a little bit confusing. But I'll move it down a bit more. I have put dash lines there. So that's where my other pattern, the pattern that I've already stitched out, has finished. So when I want to do another row or another pass of quilting, I just line it up. I'm using dark thread today, so I find where the other thread is, and then I just line that up, and you can probably see it a little bit better over here. So I've got a stitch there, and then I just line it up on that as best as I can, and that gives me an even spacing between each pass of quilting because I do one row at a time. So this one's called Window Pane. I've renamed it in my files pluses because it looks like plus signs to me overlapping. And yeah, and I'm going to stitch that out. I'm going to use a navy blue today. So it will really stand out on some of these brighter colours down the bottom, and it'll disappear into the black border. I was going to use a variegated thread, but it just didn't look right. So I basically contacted the customer and said, look, the variegated thread just it makes it look very cheap, and it just didn't look right. And whereas now we can just focus on the hexagons because they're nice and bright with a couple of little bits of quilting over the top. So that's what I'm working on today. I hope you enjoyed that little rundown of how I set things up. This has taken me the better part of 3 hours today, mainly because I've had people coming and going, and I've had to tend to a sick little one and whatnot. She's quite upset because she's shivering and all sorts of stuff. So yeah, so basically 3 hours work right there, people, and one row of quilting. So hopefully I can get this finished tonight. Once everybody goes to bed, I'll come out and I'll fire up my lights and basically just quilt it away. It's probably not going to take me that long because, as you can see, that is quite a large design and the quilt isn't that big. So I reckon I probably only have to do 4 or 5 passes, and it's about 10 to 15 minutes each pass. So I shouldn't be, because it's not a very big quilt. So, it looks a little bit bigger in the video than what it actually is. So, basically, I should be right. I don't think it's going to take me too long. Anyway, just thought I'd pop in and say hi. I sound a little bit tired today. You have a great day and happy quilting, everybody. And I'm so glad that everybody is safe and sound and has checked in from hurricane that you've had there in Florida. And yeah, just if you know of someone that hasn't checked in, maybe give them a call or contact them in some way, or send them a message and see if they check in, or check in the check on that Facebook page where people have checked in, just to make sure that all our members are safe and sound. And we're still thinking of you all in Texas as well, because I know that you're still dealing with cleaning up and sorting out insurance claims and all the rest of it. Stay safe, everybody, and I'll talk to you soon. Happy quilting!